Hi peeps. So today we're going to be talking about vegetarian diets, and this was a question I received in one of my little story boxes. And so a plant-based lifestyle is can be very healthy. So study shows that it helps with weight loss and improves gut health because of all those great fibers and phytonutrients that you're getting. Feed your bacteria, and in turn they ferment and feed us back. It's very high when done correctly. It is a diet that can be high in antioxidants, enzymes, phytonutrients. So phytonutrients and antioxidants can help with your immune system, and also this reduces metabolic disease, this kind of dieting, and it can also lower the environmental impact in general. But there are some risks, and so we will be talking about how to mitigate these. So first of all, you have to be mindful of protein. So the more restrictive you are, so more towards the vegan, the more you have to be mindful, and there's absolutely a way for you to get enough protein. There are athletes that thrive in a vegetarian vegan diet, but it really has to be done by a professional, or you have to study a lot and be really mindful on how to prepare, because you want to combine usually a cereal with a legume, so rice and beans, or corn and lentils, just like having a grain and a legume mixed in the meal, because they will give you the essential amino acids that you need. Also have variety to be sure that you're getting different amino acids, not always from quinoa. So there are certain grains that are very rich in protein, such as quinoa and amaranth, these more noble grains. So using nut butters and nuts can also help you meet your protein, but always be very mindful of including good protein sources in every meal and snack so that you can get enough. Omega-3 is definitely something vegans and vegetarians should be worried about, because there is a plant source of omega-3, which is the alpha-linolenic acid, but our conversion is not great. So we can't transform very well alpha-linolenic acid to linoleic acid to DHA and EPA, which is what we need for brain function and other things. So it would be nice to supplement a omega-3. Zinc is a nutrient that is very present in plants. There's also plenty of sources in plants. Did I say present in plants? They're present in meats, but there are many plant sources that have zinc. The thing is, zinc is bound. Ow, the dog is on my leg and it's hurting. Zinc in plants are bound with phytates, and that hinders the absorption of zinc. So what do you do about that? Well, you are going to soak, sprout, and pressure cook your grains and your legumes, and soak your nuts. You don't want to pressure cook your nuts. You could. They would taste weird. Because that liberates the phytates. It helps reduce the content of phytates and then make your minerals such as zinc a little bit more available. Another thing you can do for zinc is when you're sauteing your greens, saute them in onions or garlic or both, because that helps make zinc a little bit more bioavailable, meaning you can absorb that better. Calcium is another thing that you have to be mindful of. There are plenty of vegetarian sources of calcium. You just have to be mindful to include them. So I put them in my post. I put a list of calcium-rich plant foods, iron-rich plant foods, and protein-rich plant foods. And you can always Google those. So yeah, including a calcium source in all of your meals. Also be careful with too much carbohydrates. Those substitutes, like the junk foods that are vegan, be careful not to be the vegan that eats, popcorn and pizza. Pizza is vegetarian with the cheese, but there is vegan pizza, and it's still junk food. It's processed food. So you want the bulk of your diet to be real food, just like any other diet, real food, right? So for iron, I think I said that iron, I don't know if I said this, but anyway, if you're going to use iron plant sources, include a citrus fruit with it, or sprinkle some lime or lemon, or eat an orange with your meal, because it helps that iron become more bioavailable. Because plant iron, which is non-heme iron, is not as bioavailable as the one that you would eat from a meat. So you need a little bit extra work. Vitamin D is something that definitely you want to supplement when a vegetarian or vegan, because the sources in the diet are already very low. It would be like the cold water fish, and since none of these people are eating that, then or having sun exposure enough to get the daily vitamin dose, it's definitely something you want to supplement. Iodine can also be something because you're not eating fish, and so always include some sea algae in your salads, every day. Or if you're using kelp, you can do it twice a week. Kelp has a very, very high iodine content. Too much iodine damages your thyroid. Too little iodine damages your thyroid. So you want a good balance there. Or for example, if you're only using sea salt is not iodized. It's funny because in the sea there is iodine, but iodine is very volatile. So when you evaporate the seawater to make the salt, the iodine goes with it. Unless they add it back into the salt, then you're not getting any iodine from your sea salt. So either use iodized salt if you're a vegan or vegetarian, obviously not a whole bunch, but use that, or put some kelp twice a week, or use sea algae. You can use those any day, like nori and all the other algae you can use every day as your iodine source. You don't necessarily you should not be supplementing iodine, because that again goes to the too much that can damage your thyroid. Some people have to be mindful of vitamin A, because vitamin A in its animal form is retinoic acid or retinol, and that is the form that we use. In plants, there is a pro-vitamin A, which is beta-carotene. Some people don't convert that very well in their body, and that's all genetically based. And if you don't know, you have to measure it in your blood and see if you need a supplement or not for vitamin A. So far, vitamin B12, omega-3, zinc, calcium, vitamin D, iodine, vitamin A, these are all things that vegans and vegetarians have to be mindful of, and they should be supplementing if in the blood it is low. And some of these are probably going to be low if you are a long-term vegetarian or vegan not doing these. There are vegan sources of omega-3s which come from microalgae, and then there are fish oils that come from fish. And if you're a vegetarian and you don't mind getting that from fish oil, then fish oil is great. What else? So I talk about that. Make sure to have enough protein. Okay, so what are the tips to be a healthy vegan or vegetarian? Eating real food first and foremost. Be careful with the substitutions that are processed. So a burger, a sausage, vegan this and vegan cheese and vegan that. Milk is fine because it's plant-based, so it would be just your almond milk, and that is fine. But look always at the ingredients of what that processed thing has. Some of them can be quite okay. Very, very important for you to chew. Because the plant cell wall has something around it called cellulose, and our GI tract cannot break that down. The bacteria can, and that'll cause you a lot of gas. But if you don't chew, you don't get into that cell and release all the enzymes and all the nutrients that are there, and you're basically just having roughage pass through you, and that can have consequences for your GI tract. It's good to have a good multivitamin, multi-mineral daily. For these people, it would be nice. Always measure your B12, your iron, your protein, and your zinc, and your vitamin A. Iodine can be measured too in the urine. And supplement to correct those deficiencies only after you have measured them. Vitamin D is another one that you should measure and correct. So more veggies. So it would be more veggies than fruit, right? Both are great, but you want to have more veggies than fruit. So it's like 6 servings of vegetables for 3 servings of fruit per day. Half of your plate of veggies, 1/4 of grains, 1/4 of legumes. Always have variety. Always rotate your food so you're getting plenty of nutrients from different kinds of sources, mixing and matching. Using nutritional yeast really helps with increasing the complex B in your diet. There is some B12 in there, but I read some sources that say that the vitamin B12 in the nutritional yeast is not greatly absorbed by us, so it'd be best for just to supplement. So I'm going to give you an example of what you can have for breakfast. So you would have an oatmeal or a rice or a quinoa or an amaranth porridge. So you would make a little porridge using like a plant milk and make that. Or you can have If you're a vegetarian, you can have like a boiled egg in that, and then you would add some fruit. You would put some seeds on top. You can even use honey if you're not vegan. I usually don't add sugar to anything. I just use the sugar from the fruit, but if you like a little bit more sweet, a little bit of honey won't kill you. Snacks can be nuts, nut butters with fruit. You can eat seeds. You can put tahini on a little rice cracker or something like that. The same rule applies to any kind of human, right? Don't eat your carbs just alone. So don't eat rice crackers. That's it. Put tahini, because tahini will have protein and fat, and then you have a good balance there. Put some avocados and eggs if you're vegetarian, or put like beans or lentils on top, just to have a source of protein on every meal. Then you would have for lunch, for example, you would choose a cereal, so you can choose from brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, any of those cereals, corn, and then you would add a legume, so a pea, lentils, beans, always soaked and or sprouted, and then you cook it in the oh my gosh, the pressure cooker. So I do everything. I soak, and then I leave it another day for it to sprout a little bit, and then I put it in the pressure cooker, because I do have a lot of trouble digesting beans. And then a lot of greens, use a lot of seeds. Soy products. Okay, so soy is a complete protein source that comes from plants, and that is very rare. Quinoa is another one that would be very good in terms of amino acid balance. The problem with soy is that you should eat it always fermented. So fermented soy is miso, tempeh, natto, tofu. All those are fermented. Ideally, you want to look for organic, because soy is extremely genetically modified to tolerate more pesticides. So it would have a high content of glyphosate, and glyphosate damages your gut, it damages your nervous system. It's just bad for you. So soy, organic, and fermented. And don't have it as your own source of protein, okay? Don't have it every day. It's okay for you to have it 2-3 times a week, it's fine. But too much soy can throw your hormones a little bit out of whack, because soy has plant hormones that look very much like our own hormones. I said about the nutritional yeast, sea salt. I think I'm done. So if there's still anything I didn't touch on that you still want to know, send me a direct message, and I will be glad to elaborate it on a story.